Even though E3 is just around the corner, IGN got an early look at the E3 demo for both the Wii U and 3DS versions of the new Sonic game, Sonic Lost World. And you know what that means, it's time to start up the old analysis machine and see what secrets it might be hiding. And we've again brought back our resident Sonic expert, Derek Bittner, to help do so. But we're not limiting ourselves to just this demo, as we'll also be referring to some further details that Sega shared. Plus we'll take a look at some of your ideas from the previous analysis. And speaking of which, please make sure to watch our previous analysis if you haven't already, as we'll be referring to it throughout the video. Now according to many of you, Sonic Lost World may be more of an homage to the original cancelled Sonic Extreme game than we originally thought. Take for example this video, which shows how Sonic Extreme would play. And as Schmitty007 points out, it contains numerous events that occur in both games, such as the tubular levels and gravity shifting along smooth slopes. Moving on, we have since learned of Sonic's new controls thanks to the IGN video. This time, Sonic will only walk when you use the control stick alone. But if you hold down one of the triggers, he'll run at his usual pace, and if you hold both triggers, he'll perform a spin dash and take off at full speed. But as Wickersham Leader and many others spotted even before this demo, there's something special about Sonic's running animation, which is an intentional reference to the Super Peel-Out move that debuted in Sonic CD. And it's only been seen a few times since, such as in Sonic Chaos and Sonic Triple Trouble on the Game Gear, and as a taunt in Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
You're too slow! You're too slow! You're too slow! You're too slow! You're too slow!
Oh god, I forgot about that! Now Sonic's running speed is also how he'll access his new parkour moveset, since he won't be able to perform them while walking. And proper management of these parkour moves appears to be necessary, at least in the 3DS version, as we can see Sonic begin to tire out and start to sweat in this clip. And here it appears he can extend his wall run a little further by spin dashing along it instead, which we can see also works in the Wii U version. But then there's a mysterious kick ability that Sonic displayed. Well, it turns out it's actually a brand new move designed to take on different enemies. Sometimes its usual homing attack just isn't strong enough to take down a badnik in one go, as demonstrated here. It's actually a subtle hint that taking on enemies will require a little bit more thought than before. Finally, there's one more move that Sonic shows off during his E3 demo. Did you spot it? Yep, his double jump from Sonic Colors returns and definitely seems to aid in his platforming. Okay, that's enough about Sonic himself, but there's still a lot to talk about concerning the actual gameplay. For instance, we can see there's a countdown timer rather than a stopwatch timer. In other words, there's a limit to how long you can spend in each level, like the classic Genesis games. Does this mean the ranking system that's been around since Sonic Adventure is gone too? And though that's probably the biggest change, there are a lot of little details in there as well, like the classic Sonic's head returning as the lives counter icon. Then there's a return of the 5 red star rings, which will unlock bonuses as you collect them. Finally, there's a counter for the rescued animal friends, which goes up with every badnik defeated or mini capsule found. Not only will you be helping the little critters, but finding them will also unlock bonuses, though what shape they'll take we're not quite sure. Okay, and that's enough about the gameplay. Let's talk about the story. Like, why exactly is Sonic running all over the world of Lost Hex? Well, according to the official site, Dr. Eggman tried to harness the power of the creatures known as the Deadly Six. However, they turned against him, forcing him and Sonic to team up to take them all on. Of course, knowing Eggman, it probably isn't as simple as it seems. But as pointed out by Adion, the story is very similar to one of the proposed plots of Sonic Extreme. Now, the final story was going to be that Sonic was enlisted by Professor Gazebo Babowski and his daughter, Tiara, to collect the 6 magical rings of order before Eggman could. But there were actually many other storylines considered too. One of which is that Eggman has shattered the Master Emerald, unleashing the power of the 6 Chaos Doom. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And that's not the only mysterious element behind the Deadly Six. Maiza T noted that they could have some kind of connection to the Chaos Emerald, since each one matches one of the colors. Except for the 7th one being gray. But this one might be in the possession of Dr. Eggman. Handsome Ben Drowned has another idea though. The Deadly Six's colors also match up with the Wisp colors from Sonic Colors, which we already know are returning too. The pink one matches a Spike Wisp, green matches Hover, yellow matches Drill, red matches Burst, cyan matches Laser, and blue matches Cube. Is it possible that the Deadly Six are actually corrupted Wisps? We don't know yet, but we definitely know that the color powers are returning. Because not only do we spot the Cyan Wisp in the reveal trailer, but we see it used in the demo too, which are now activated using the gamepad. In the case of the Cyan Wisp, a line must be drawn on the screen. As for the other colors, they'll apparently be activated by tilting, touching, and aiming the gamepad according to the official website. Oh, and in case you didn't notice, the announcer from Sonic Colors returns too. But the Wisps aren't the only thing we were right about. In our previous analysis, we pointed out that there appear to be multiple pathways, and indeed we've now learned that Wind Hill Zone 1 alone has 4 different routes that can be taken at any one time depending on what section of the cylinder you explore. In addition, the bell we spotted in the previous analysis is actually a mini challenge, where Sonic must continually kick the bell and then chase it down, which will eventually net him a red star ring. This level of variety even extends to the levels themselves. Despite the world being called Desert Ruins, there really isn't much desert to be seen here, as one level is based around a candy land and the other is set in woods and honeycombs. Even the gameplay changes between levels, as shown in the 3 displayed in the demo, with the first being a 3D platformer, the second a 2D platformer, and the third an auto-run level. Beyond the demo, the official website also provides a few more details. For one, we know that the game supports off-screen play, as well as Miiverse, allowing players to share items with each other and charge them up. Though we don't know what exactly these items are, or what charging them up actually does. But even more interesting is the confirmed multiplayer modes. In the cooperative mode, one player will be able to help the other by piloting radio-controlled gadgets that can destroy both enemies and obstacles, much like the cooperative mode in Super Mario Galaxy 2. Then there's a competitive mode, which seems to be a return to the character races that were featured in Sonic Adventure 2 and a few other games. Now we already know you'll be stuck playing as only Sonic during single player, but it seems likely his friends may be featured in the multiplayer mode. Moving on, the 3DS version of Sonic Lost World also has some tricks up its sleeve, as it will be the first Sonic handheld game to feature 3D levels and even contains exclusive Wisp powers. One of which will be the Violet Void Wisp, which returns from the DS version of Sonic Colors. And we know that special stages will also return for the 3DS version, and they'll utilize the system's tilt controls. And we'd be willing to bet that this means the half-pipe stages are returning yet again. But one of the more mysterious elements of the 3DS version are the gadgets. We already know that second player can use them to help out, but you'll also be able to create and customize your own in the 3DS version, which you can then share with the Wii U version. So it seems like the cooperative mode here will be a little bit more involved than Super Mario Galaxies. And that's not the only difference between the Wii U and 3DS versions of Sonic Lost World. For instance, while it seems many of the levels will share similar themes, each version will have their own unique elements, such as the 3DS's take on Wind Hill, which features a caterpillar chase not seen in the Wii U version. Then there's the fact that the 3DS version is bringing back the fire and electric elemental shields, which could very likely mean that the basic and water shield are back too. In addition, the speed shoes and invincibility power-ups also return. And interestingly, both play an instrumental version of the main theme to Sonic Heroes, instead of the special jingle for the invincibility and sped up level music for the speed shoes from the classic games. Now there are two more differences that are a little more interesting. For one, Sonic seems to possess an exclusive wind kick move in the 3DS version, though it only seems to stun enemies rather than actually damage them. Secondly, there doesn't appear to be a time limit in the 3DS version, instead being replaced by a stopwatch timer. And we can see that the grades at the end of the level return as well. So it seems the two versions of Sonic Lost World may actually end up feeling pretty different. Okay, we're almost done here, but there's still just a few classic elements returning that we just have to point out. Now in our previous analysis, we pointed out that a bunch of classic Sonic enemies are returning, and even pointed out that Buzz Bombers could be making an appearance as well, based on an easy to miss projectile that we noticed. And now we know for sure that we were right, but they brought along a few friends in both versions. For the 3DS one we see Caterkillers, Golas, Neutrons, Sandworms, Bladed Spinners, and Grabbers. And then for the Wii U, there's the Lonely Antons. And did you catch the Motobugs hiding in the bushes here? Sneaky. Enemies aren't the only classic elements you spotted though. Check out this clip which showcases a spring that resembles the yellow one from the original game, which bounces you a shorter height than the more powerful red ones. Next up are the cannons, both gold and normal, which return from Sonic 3 and seem to mark hidden pathways. Finally, we'd like to show off some elements that two fans found. Chilean Fair points out that there seems to be some kind of star behind Sonic while he's giving chase to the pink member of the Deadly Six. What could that be about? Then Lord Board Noob drew attention to the fact that this isn't technically the first appearance of Sonic's ledge-grabbing move, as it previously appeared in a cancelled game titled Sonic 16, which would have been based on the Sonic cartoon. And as an extra bit of trivia, the same team who worked on Sonic 16 went on to develop Sonic Extreme. And with that, we're done covering everything we could dig up on Sonic Lost World. And as usual, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments. And if you liked our analysis, make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at GameXplain to keep up with the latest gaming news. They're even super easy to click links in the description below. Thanks for watching, make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more on Sonic Lost World and other things gaming too.
You're too slow!